Hello, Dapper here. And welcome back to Terraria. This is episode 4, so if you haven't seen the last episode, or any of the other episodes in their entirety, go check them out so you are caught up to speed. But for those who did, we managed to beat our first boss, and made a new whip, the Snap Thorn. We do have a lot planned for this episode, so no more mucking around. Sit back, relax, get yourself a nice glass of milk and enjoy the show. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of our goals, let's pick up where we left off after the Ayakthulhu fight, and smelt down all of this demonite for bars. To be honest, summoners can't make much with demonite. The only thing that they can really make as a weapon is the Soul Scourge. Granted, any new weapon felt like a blessing for summoner mains, since the class was very bare bones before bigger and bolder. Right. So one of my first goals is to find a very secretive biome. For those unaware, on the jungle side of your world, if you dig down until you come across an area mainly made up of stone, you'll find the shimmer biome. It's a small area with a pond full of shimmer liquid. This liquid can do many things, such as uncraft your items, and even turn some items into completely new ones for the cost of nothing. Completely unrelated, but have you noticed this sick pal metal armor I bought? I was waiting for it to turn daytime before firing up the recording, mainly so it'd be easier on the eyes and such. But yeah, I bought this from the traveling merchant. It came in the Pal World collaboration. Looks really cool, and the little blue thingy on it glows in the dark, so you'll be able to spot me in hard to see areas, so that's a plus. Continuing on the whole Pal World theme, it's finally coming out of early access on the 10th of July. Honestly really excited. We're finally coming to the tree. And hey, I can't wait to see what this new Pal Dualith can do. It's really commendable that Pocket Pair managed to ward off one of the largest names in the entertainment industry to keep their game afloat. Granted, even if Nintendo wins, they're only getting around $30,000 out of it mayo. But that's enough about me glazing one of my favorite games. We have a task at hand. And that task is making it to the shimmer. And with Digtize's help, we should be able to dig down quickly. Granted, if I made something like the Gravedigger shovel in a graveyard biome, I would be able to get down there much faster, but I was a thicky dum and completely forgot about it whilst I was recording. So yeah, that was stupid. So me and Digtize got to mining downward to find the shimmer. Considering Digtize had the mining speed of a copper pickaxe, and my gold pickaxe had a god-awful modifier, we took a bit longer than we needed to say the least. I personally think that Digtize should scale to the power of whatever pickaxe you're using like some people think it does, rather than being kept at a crappy power to be swapped out later, since the novelty wears off the moment you get a post-evil biome boss pickaxe. I mean, we did end up stumbling across an enchanted sword shrine, which was pretty lucky. It's a good weapon, yeah, but since we aren't doing a melee run, it's pretty much going to be kept in the chest. I would sell it, but finding an enchanted sword shrine is pretty cool, and the coolness factor outweighs the money I'd get from selling it in my opinion. Speaking of, more options for weapon displays would be an awesome thing to see in 1.4.6, or even the patch they are going to be doing. Something like the enchanted sword shrine's display would be sick to display a cool weapon. Even better, we could have gun racks for rangers, a hook for people to hang their whips on, for things such as staffs, both mage and summoner staffs. They could share the enchanted sword display, with the tip of the wand being pointed up in the sky. Damn, Relogic should hire me for these ideas. So once we made it underground, I looked around for quite some time, having no luck in finding this shimmer biome. I was in the right spot, the beach bordering the jungle. I thought that I would have needed to go higher, since there was a lot more stone on the ceiling, but that was wrong too. The only other option was to go further down. And once I did, I knew I finally made it to the shimmer. This area will grant us many more upgrades, and hey, that spare heart lantern and that golden worm I got during earlier episodes will help tremendously, since we'll be able to turn the heart lantern back into a heart crystal and chains, and the heart crystal into a vital crystal, which will boost our max regeneration. And the golden worm we can turn into a gummy worm, which will boost our fishing power. I made some basic NPC housing for some of the NPCs who don't have homes to move in. Those NPCs ended up being the Dryad and the Painter. But after I tried to climb back from accidentally jumping into the shimmer, the slime rain happened. Meaning one thing. A boss fight against the royal delinquent. Well, that was decently easy. A much shorter fight than the Eye of Cthulhu who was. But hey, one of King Slime's drops actually benefits summoners. And no, it isn't the solidifier for the slime whip, which I will give an honorable mention, but instead is the mount, the slimy saddle, which actually deals summon damage. Meaning it'll benefit off of the perks that my armor gives it. Which is incredible. Here's a little visual demonstration on what the slime whip does. At the crack of the whip, it can set enemies on fire. It would have been decent if King Slime spawned before the Eye of Not Fox, but alas, I'll just display it in my crappy storage silo for now. So once I got back to the shimmer, I threw in a cavern pylon I bought to get the ether pylon. Meaning I can go from here to my main base anytime I want once I've set up a forest pylon back home. There we go. Looks splendid, and it's the start to a somewhat probably complex pylon network I'll be certain to set up in the future, most definitely. Also, if you've watched this far into the video, do me a favor and leave a like down below. And subscribe if you haven't. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. After I set up my pylon network, I went underground to blow up a shadow orb. Mainly to make the goblin army able to spawn naturally. The first one has a 33.3% chance of spawning in each day. The event doesn't drop anything specific to summoners, but instead grants access to the Goblin Tinkerer NPC, which everyone has a love-hate relation with, since he's good for things like reforging, and he sells the rocket boots and Tinkerer's workshop, both invaluable items for progression. So he's cool, but costly. Right, so that blue fairy just killed itself to show me where my own loot is. Pinnacle of genius over here. So after witnessing an unnecessary death of a fairy, I made myself a bed and started sleeping, which would start my long, almost 4-hour grind to get a new summon weapon. The vampire frog staff, which can only be gotten through fishing during a blood moon. But it ain't that simple. You don't fish up the staff, you fish up enemies that drop the staff. The wandering eye fish and the zombie merman. Both are pretty tanky, and both can survive the shit I throw at it for long times. So I'll get back to you once something interesting occurs. Right. First blood moon. I ran all the way to my leftmost ocean biome and started to fish. Which I got jack all from. Even dying to wandering eye fish in the process. Granted, the staff only has a 12.5% drop chance from both the eye fish and zombie merman, which might I add, for a weapon people are most likely going to use up until the evil biome boss, is kinda naff. Whilst I was waiting, however, a goblin army spawned, meaning that we can get the goblin tinkerer once it's defeated. The goblin army is a pretty lackluster event, only really bringing the goblin tinkerer for summoners, and that's pretty much it. It's crap for most of everything else unless you're one of the other 3 classes. I only died once during the event at the 70% completion mark, which for an event I'm honestly pretty crap at. I'm pretty proud of myself. After the event I immediately went to the jungle to go look for Gob Eating Key. I went to the jungle in particular for the increased spawn rate of enemies, which would up my chances of finding him sooner rather than later. After a bit I ended up finding him indulging in his favorite pastime. And once I freed him, I bought myself some rocket boots with the gold I had. I did end up buying a Tinkerer's Workshop off camera during my long wait for a second blood moon, however, so don't think I forgot about buying one. I made a quick pit stop back to base to get some wood, because I was going to make the goblin's home by the shimmer, mainly so he isn't crowded amongst all of the other NPCs. This is to keep reforging prices cheap, or as cheap as he'll allow them to be. Granted, his home looked rather crap, but the only reason people put up with his bullshit is for his reforging. And money was decently easy to get at the time. I went back to base soon after, and made myself the axe of regrowth with the leftover jungle crap and a wand of regrowth that I had. It's a pretty good axe in all honesty, and the fact it only costed my copper axe for one that's significantly better, and replants a sapling whenever you mine a tree, is really amazing. I also made a basic arena for the next boss in the corruption, since I knew I would die if I fought it underground, and because dynamite was expensive and bombs would be tedious to continue throwing, an above ground arena was my best bet for victory. I do end up refurbishing it with campfires for some basic healing off camera. Eventually the second blood moon happened. I even had to build an entirely separate town just so it'd be easier to pylon directly to the ocean rather than walk all the way back or use the shimmer pylon. The angler also moved in, which is kinda cool. I did end up getting the chum caster from a knife fish though, still no vampire frog staff, which is a bit disappointing. I also died immediately on my next fish. So yeah, that was just awesome. I had to wait for 3 entire blood moons to fish up a zombie merman, kill it inside of my little safety pussy box to get the vampire frog staff, and I don't exaggerate when I say this. I was over the moon with excitement for finally getting this thing. All of my hard work finally paid off, and I now have a weapon to match my snap thorn and power. I got the best possible modifiers on both of my weapons, went back to base for buffs, and then it was time to face the tyrant of corruption. Wow, that was just extremely easy for my current loadout. I just did a victory lap with my second summon, so I'm going to end it here. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below. And if you want to see more of my content, Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a good one for me, pal.